condone your actions. I accept your behaviour. It's not saying that. It's not about forgetting either. You can't forget it because it's embedded in your memory, in your heart. It's there. What it is allowing you to let go. Not allowing them, not allowing what they say to you or do to you define you. It's like going back to Mum. If she had said to him, no, I'm not going to let your thoughts and attitudes about my driving stop me from driving. I'm going to carry on driving regardless of what you say to me. I've not had an accident. I've not had an insurance claim. She may have done some kangaroo jumps, trying to get into gear on occasions, but she was a good driver. They wouldn't have allowed her to drive up and down the bloody country delivering cars if she wasn't. You had to take a test to do that. And if she had thought about that from that point of view and then said to her husband, no, I'm not allowing your views about my driving define me, and carried on, then she would have had strength in that. She would have had the courage to say that. She would have had the strength to carry on. That's where resilience comes from. Seeing the problems and the challenges in your path and making your way through them, around them, over them, under them, whatever. It's just like being on an assault course in the army, figuring a way around these obstacles. And everything is an obstacle in life. Everything presents a challenge to you. It's just figuring a way around it that's not going to stop you from being yourself, as long as you don't hurt anybody. Yeah. From that point of view, you stop the arrows piercing you, and if they do pierce you, you understand how to heal the wound. You feel the pain, but you don't suffer with it. You don't let it take your power away. You don't let it take you away. You don't let it chip away at you and let little pieces of you drop away. When you step away from their behaviour, when you turn away from their behaviour and you recognise their behaviour for what it is, what you do is that you become a fuller person in your own right. You become stronger. That's where resilience comes from. Having courage, though, is not easy. But my nan always used to say, nothing in life is ever easy. And she was right. The wisdom of age, eh? When you heal your pain, it's not like going from day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way through to day 30 or 6 weeks as a wound in your skin takes to heal, or a bruise on your arm. It takes about 6 weeks for it to go away. It's not, emotions are not like in a line like that. They're up and down. It's like the grief process. They say there's 6 stages to grief. You think, no, there are more than that. And they don't all go in logical order. They keep going back and forth throughout all of them. And it's not easy to take on board. Even me knowing what the grief process is, it's just hard to handle it because you're going through it. And when my dad died, when my mum died, when my stepfather died, when I got betrayed by my family, I had to go back and forth through all these emotions. And at the end of each day, every day, I just went down on my knees and I prayed for strength and I forgave. I let go. And if it hadn't been for God through that period, I don't think I would have made it. I had to have faith in something bigger than myself. Sometimes you look back and you regret. And sometimes you look back and you think, how on earth did I get through that? Sometimes you're going through a situation now and it feels overwhelming. And that's when people get depressed. That's when people hide under their covers all day long and they think, I can't handle that life. I can't handle the world. I just want to hide away from it. And sometimes your body just takes over and it will not move. Doesn't matter how hard you try, it says, I'm not getting out of this bed. I don't want to face that world. So your body is actually telling you what your mind and emotions are trying to scream against. Depression is a real thing. I know it. I've been through it. But in the end, you've got to recognise that the world is a challenging place. And go back to that soul thing. This family that's around you, their actions, their behaviours, their words, they're all teaching you something. How to let go, how to forgive, how to become more aware. I know, I've sat there and cried so hard sometimes and blamed my mum and my dad, actually. And I love them both very dearly. But I blame them because I kept saying to Mum's ghost, why did you even give birth to me? Where's the point in all of this? Where's the meaning to my life? Why am I here? What good am I doing? If you knew how painful this world was going to be, why did you want me? You feel all of that pain and it does overwhelm you. But somehow you wake up the next morning and the light appears. The light shines through, warms you up, and you get out of bed and you think, I'm alive. I have another day of opportunities. Another day to learn. Another day to take a chance on life. And that pain that you feel, that all that suffering that you go through, it can only make you stronger. It gives you the power to continue. Go through life in a much more aware state. It helps you to understand what people are like, what the world is like, and how not to be like that. In order for anything to change, it's got to start with you. That pain that you feel, instead of giving up and wanting to escape it, if you can acknowledge it for what it is, it gives you the purpose of your life. You find what your life means, what you need to do with it, how you need to change things. And so all those wounds that you have, all those scars that you collect, that's what becomes not just information or knowledge, information in the fact that you can look at it, learn from it. It becomes knowledge, recognise what it is, and then what happens is those emotions, that knowledge, that information all gathers together, and eventually, as you get older and you get to learn these different things in life, it becomes wisdom. I'm not saying I'm wise, but there are some really wise people out there. And there are even youngsters that are wise. I've seen 17-year-olds that have got really wise heads on their shoulders. And I think, my goodness, you're an old soul. We can learn an awful lot from you. But you think, okay, if they know that much now, think how much they'll know when they're 60. If they continue on that path, that is, they don't allow this world to crush them. If they go through the pain, they push through that and allow that pain to become their purpose in life. Find their purpose in life. Then they'll make it through. Think of it from the point of view like going to opposites again. Okay? There's always two choices to everything. Maybe more, but we'll stick with the two. It's less confusing. What if, like, you felt rejected and abandoned from people that were supposed to love you and you were supposed to learn from? Be safe within that network of people. What if that taught you
to be independent. When you feel the pain inside you and you experience that, what it teaches you is that it's not just you that feels it. Other people do too. Just like I mentioned, the past of people's lives, your parents' lives in particular, that we don't even think about them as children. That pain that you feel can enable you to understand what they feel or what they possibly felt. I can have no idea what it felt for my mum when she was being abused as a child, but I can see the result of it. I can see the weakness that was in her. I can see the fear. And what does that give to me? Empathy, compassion. It's like acknowledging other people's pain and then reflecting the emotions inside of you in a loving way back to them. It's like walking into a dark room and flicking on the light. You're the candle in the darkness. When you learn these things, it's like the pebble in the pool again, the ripple effect. It helps everybody else see that. It helps everybody else see, maybe I don't need to end this life. I can learn from this pain. I can learn from this rejection. I can learn from this fear, and I can use it. I don't have to let other people define me, other people's perceptions of how I should be, how I should live, how I should say things. I don't have to allow that to define me. I can become a better person than this. That's the way you break the curse. And I know that when you become stronger and you become lighter and you become more free and peaceful, sometimes there are people who think, have they done that? And they become jealous and they become fearful of it if they don't learn, if they don't step into their own awareness of the situation. But to others, they can learn. They can see that you've changed, that you've done something different. What is it? So they ask you. When they ask you, you've been given permission basically to tell them. Not easy, but it was like this. But people only really learn from their own experiences. So if you tell them something, it's like the man fishing, isn't it? You give a man a fish if he feeds on it for one meal. You teach a man to fish, he can go off and do it himself and live for a whole lifetime with it. So it's them learning from you and going off and doing it. That's what helps them survive through life. And that's why when you look at your family, you look at the people around you, think of their behaviours or actions, the words, the deeds, whatever, not as painful things, not as things designed to cause you suffering, but they're things that are allowing you to see the bigger picture. Step away, take a deep breath, think, respond, rather than react in the emotions of the moment. That is very hard to do, but with training of yourself, your mind, your emotions, your breathing, you can focus on that. You can fix the situation for yourself. And then others see that deed, others see that behaviour, others see that change in you, and they either decide to do it for themselves or they go into their own little worlds and reject it. So the pain that they cause you is a lesson in life. And the actual name of the lesson is awareness. Or, I've heard this bandied around for so often that I just really don't like to use it very often now. Awakening. Because when you split the word up, awake, what is awake? Awake is something that you follow behind a funeral. And I guess the funeral could be your past life, your past behaviours, your past attitudes, your past being you, basically. You're following in the wake of that. And you're changing to become a better person. So it is awakening, really, isn't it? So your family can be thanked, really, for being the way they are, because they've helped you, if you look upon it as that kind of way. Now, obviously, we've got the children who are battered into oblivion. You've got no chance, no hope. So what have you got to learn from that? Not to do it yourself. Have compassion, have empathy, and know that that soul, from the point of view of being alive before it's conceived, think that those children's lives are there to help you understand or have empathy, have compassion, awaken to the fact that you're not going to be like that. And maybe their souls chose to be in that position to give you that lesson. That's the only way I can come to terms with it. Not very pleasant for them, but if they had that choice before they were born, from a soul's point of view, then that's the lesson they're giving you. Like a person who is born into a body that has the inability to interact with society in the way that we find acceptable, like a mentally challenged child, or a Down syndrome child, or a disabled child. We look upon that child as unable to interact in the way that we do. But what that child is teaching us, really, basically, is patience. Think about it from the point of view that what is that child trying to teach me? Patience, compassion, empathy, kindness, love. All the things that God wants you to have. All this pain and suffering that we feel, we either want to give up on it and end our lives because we think we're worthless, we think unworthy, could do better in the eyes of the people that have surrounded us. Or you can look at the pain as something that you can use to transform yourself, to change yourself, change your feelings inside, these emotions that you experience. So we're not victims. That's what one word that I would take out of the dictionary of use if I had to ban anything would be the word victim. Because the simple word victim makes us feel like victims. Instead, try not to think of yourself as a victim of their behaviour, or the victim of your circumstances, or the victim of your ailments that you have inside of you. Think of these sufferings that you have, this pain that you feel, emotional and physical, as a springboard for you to change, to transform yourself into something that's stronger, has more courage, able to go through these challenges and see them for what they are. So, from a soul point of view, from a spiritual being inside this body, using this body for a vehicle to experience all these things, you're here to break the curse, end suffering, be an example. By changing yourself, you give other people permission to do it themselves too. Their pain, their anger, their hopelessness, their sadness, their sorrow, their depression, their anxiety, their grief, their trauma, everything that they are feeling that they put onto you as a burden in the backpack, remember, is not here to tell you what you are. It's to show you what you can be if you think differently, if you don't internalise it, if you don't take their pain on board inside you. You know what happens when a little boat on a stormy sea takes on board water. Learning all of this is like the second step on the ladder. The first step is becoming aware, really. Second step is getting on and learning it. What difference can you make? Knowing all of this, knowing about their behaviour and how it's supposed to teach you things, it doesn't make it easier. It doesn't make it, oh yeah, I can deal with it all now. Great. I can go on and battle the world now. I'm all right. I'm okay. No. Think of what my nan said. Nothing's ever easy in life. The third step on the ladder
It's taking responsibility for it all. I did mention that before, but taking responsibility for it is growing. It's building your strength. It's recognising that you might be at fault here. And not just recognising that, but doing something to change it. And then this is where the mind, emotions and spirit comes in. And when you kind of like think, okay, I've learned that, become aware, I've gone up 3 steps of the ladder. Okay, but what do you have to do in order to, well, put this in your life and make it worth something?